If you carry a bright lamp through the night, you will see two things clearly: the path in front of you and the eyes that begin to watch you. Some eyes are kind, some eyes are curious, some eyes are tired and wounded, some eyes are hungry. This is why the wise do not hold the lamp too high, not because the lamp is shameful, not because the light is wrong, but because too much display invites too much noise, and noise can steal your peace. In this world, there are two treasures that many people lose, not because they are weak, but because they are loud. Talent, when it is constantly shown off, and blessing, when it is constantly shown off. The Buddha did not teach us to hide out of fear. He taught us to live with wisdom, to understand the mind, to understand envy, to understand comparison, to understand the 8 winds that blow through every life: praise and blame, fame and disgrace, gain and loss, pleasure and pain. When you cling to praise, you become anxious. When you fear blame, you become a prisoner. When you chase fame, you become restless. When you fear disgrace, you become fragile. And when you show your talent and your blessings for approval, you give your peace to the wind. Tonight, we will talk about quiet strength, the strength of not needing to prove, the strength of doing good without advertising it, the strength of keeping blessings protected, the strength of letting your life be a lamp inside your home, not a torch held high for strangers to judge. Now, dear friends, welcome to Buddha Peaceful Mind. If you came here feeling tired of the noise, tired of the competition, tired of the endless need to impress, may this Dharma talk be like shade on a hot day. May it cool the heart, may it steady the mind, and may it help you walk through life with quiet confidence and gentle humility. The phrase we are reflecting on today is simple. Talent should not be displayed carelessly. Blessings should not be boasted about carelessly. In many cultures, people say, "Do not reveal your wealth and do not reveal your blessings." But the Buddha's teaching goes deeper than superstition. It is not about fearing invisible punishment. It is about understanding the mind and understanding cause and effect. When you display too much, you change conditions around you. You change other people's minds. You trigger comparison. You trigger envy. You invite gossip. You invite judgment. You invite expectations. And all of these are heavy. Even when no one harms you directly, the atmosphere changes. Your road becomes more complicated. The Buddha taught that peace is built not only through what you gain, but through what you do not invite. Still, we must be balanced. The Buddha did not teach that you should hide your light forever. He did not teach cowardice. He taught right timing, right speech, right intention, right effort. There are times when you must speak clearly about your skills, to serve others, to protect others, to earn honest livelihood. There are times when you must share success, to inspire, to give credit, to teach. But there is a difference between sharing with a clean intention and showing off with a hungry intention. So the first practice is to learn this difference. Ask yourself before you speak, am I sharing to benefit, or am I sharing to be admired? Am I sharing to encourage, or am I sharing to make others feel smaller? Am I sharing facts for clarity, or am I inflating an image? This is not a question to shame yourself. It is a question to wake up. Because much suffering begins when the mind becomes addicted to being seen. The Buddha called this addiction conceit. Conceit is not only thinking you are better, conceit is also thinking you are worse. Conceit is also thinking you are equal and needing to measure. Conceit is comparison itself. The mind that compares is a mind that is not free. So when you boast about talent, you feed comparison. And when you boast about blessings, you feed comparison. Then the mind becomes restless. Let us begin with the 8 worldly winds, because they explain why display creates suffering. Gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disgrace, pleasure and pain. These winds blow through every life. No one escapes them. The untrained mind is pushed and pulled. When there is praise, the mind becomes inflated. When there is blame, the mind becomes crushed. When there is fame, the mind becomes hungry for more. When there is disgrace, the mind becomes ashamed and defensive. When there is gain, the mind clings. When there is loss, the mind panics. The Buddha did not ask you to stop the winds. He asked you to stop being owned by the winds. So when you display your talent to receive praise, you are inviting the wind of praise. But praise is never alone. Blame comes with it. When your name is known, people watch. When people watch, they judge. When they judge, you feel pressure. Then your happiness depends on their reactions. This is why the wise are careful with display. They know the world is changing. They know opinions are impermanent. They know applause is unstable. They choose a deeper refuge. Now, let us talk about talent. What is real talent in the Buddha's view? Real talent is not loud. Real talent is not a performance of self. Real talent is the ability to create benefit in the world without harming the heart. Real talent is skill joined with ethics, skill joined with humility, skill joined with kindness. If your talent is used to deceive, it becomes a cause of suffering. If your talent is used to crush others, it becomes poison. So the Buddha would ask, what does your talent serve? Does it serve greed, hatred, and delusion? Or does it serve clarity, compassion, and truth? When talent serves wisdom, it becomes merit. When talent serves ego, it becomes burden. Now, why is it dangerous to display talent carelessly? Not because people are evil, but because people are human. Many people carry wounds. If you have something they want, it can touch their pain. If you have something they fear, it can touch their insecurity. If you shine too brightly without sensitivity, you can awaken jealousy. Jealousy does not always become attack. Sometimes it becomes coldness. It becomes withholding. It becomes subtle sabotage. It becomes gossip. It becomes fewer opportunities. So the Buddha taught us not to depend on praise, not to depend on the world's approval. He taught that a wise person is like a deep lake. A deep lake is not loud. It does not need to prove it has water. It simply nourishes life. Now imagine a rice field. When rice is young and empty, it stands tall. When rice is full and ripe, it bows down. Not because it is weak, because it is heavy with substance. This is why many wise traditions say, ripe grain bows. And this is also a Buddhist teaching in spirit. The heart that is full of wisdom becomes humble. because it sees the truth. Everything you have came from conditions, teachers, parents, friends, society, time, karma, health. Even a sharp mind depends on a brain and a body and food and sleep. So humility is simply accurate seeing. Now, let us tell a small story. In a village long ago, there were two craftsmen. Both were skilled. One could carve wood into shapes so smooth that people thought it was alive. The other could carve too, but he spoke very little. The first craftsman loved praise. When he finished a piece, he carried it to the market and shouted, "Look at my work. No one can do what I do." People gathered, impressed at first. But after a while, some people became tired. Some people felt small. Some people felt irritated. A few people began to say, "He is arrogant." Even when his work was good, the taste of his arrogance made it bitter. The second craftsman simply delivered his work quietly. He let the results speak. He thanked his customers. He thanked his teachers. He smiled and went home. Over time, more people trusted the quiet craftsman, not because his skill was greater, but because his mind was safer. The lesson is simple. People do not only buy your skill, they feel your heart. A heart that needs applause is unstable. A heart that is steady creates trust. In the Buddha's path, trust is a great wealth. Now, let us speak about the difference between wise confidence and arrogance. Arrogance says, "I am above you." Wise confidence says, "I have trained. I can serve." Arrogance needs an audience. Wise confidence needs a purpose. Arrogance speaks to inflate. Wise confidence speaks to clarify. So the Buddha would not ask you to shrink your gifts. He would ask you to purify your intention. Now there is another trap, false humility. Some people say, "I am nothing. It was nothing. I do not deserve anything." But inside they want others to insist. They want others to praise them more. This is still ego. It is ego wearing a humble mask. So the Buddha's teaching is simple. If you receive praise, you can accept it with simplicity. Say thank you. Feel gratitude. Then let it go. Do not inflate. Do not collapse. Just thank you. This is balanced. Now, let us talk about not revealing as wisdom, not fear. Sometimes people hide because they are afraid. They are afraid of criticism. They are afraid of being seen. They are afraid of responsibility. This is not the teaching. The teaching is to be clear about why you are quiet. Are you quiet because you are hiding from life? Or are you quiet because you are protecting the mind from unnecessary winds? A wise person can be quiet and strong. A wise person can speak when needed and be silent when not needed. This is the middle way. Now the Buddha taught right speech, speech that is true, speech that is beneficial, speech that is timely, speech that is gentle. If you want to protect your talent and your peace, right speech is one of the best shields. Because careless speech creates enemies faster than any action. So before you talk about your talent, ask, is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it the right time? Is it gentle? If your speech is true but not beneficial, it can be a weapon. If it is beneficial but not timely, it can become noise. If it is timely but not gentle, it can become cruelty. So right speech is a training, and it protects both your relationships and your reputation. Now, many people today struggle with social media. They post every achievement, every purchase, every compliment, every invitation. And each post becomes a hook. Because once you post to be admired, you crave more admiration. Then the mind becomes addicted. The Buddha would call this thirst, craving. You get 1 like and you want 10. You get 10 and you want 100. And if the number is smaller than yesterday, you feel pain. This is suffering created by attachment. So the Buddha would ask, do you want peace? Then be careful what you feed. If you feed the craving for attention, you will suffer. If you feed humility, you will rest. Again, we must be balanced. Sharing can be wholesome. If you share to teach, to inspire, to credit your team, to encourage someone who is struggling, that can be good. But check the taste in your mind. Does sharing make you more humble or more hungry? Does it make you more connected or more obsessed? If it makes you hungry, pause, return to breath, return to your values. Now we shift to blessings. Blessing is not only money. Blessing is health. Blessing is peace at home. Blessing is a stable mind. Blessing is good friends. Blessing is honest work. Blessing is being free from constant fear. Many people have these blessings and do not recognize them. They only recognize blessing when it disappears. So the Buddha taught gratitude as a practice. Gratitude is a form of wisdom. It sees what is already here. It is contentment. Contentment does not mean you stop improving your life. It means you stop being tortured by endless wanting. The Buddha praised contentment. A content mind is rich. A discontent mind is poor, even with gold. Now, why should blessings not be boasted about? Not because a jealous spirit will steal them, but because boasting changes your mind. It feeds conceit. It feeds complacency. It feeds the illusion that you deserve special treatment. Then, when life changes, you collapse. Also, boasting changes other people's minds. It can awaken envy. It can awaken sadness. It can awaken comparison. Even if you do not intend harm, you can accidentally harm. So the wise learn sensitivity. The Buddha taught compassion. Compassion includes not placing your happiness on someone else's wound. This does not mean you must hide your joy. Joy is wholesome, but share joy wisely. Share joy with gratitude. Share joy without making it a weapon. Now, let us tell a story. A woman had a peaceful marriage, a gentle home, good health. She loved her life, but she posted about it constantly. Every romantic moment, every gift, every vacation. Some friends smiled. Some friends became quiet. One friend was going through divorce. Another friend was caring for a sick parent. Another friend struggled with loneliness. They did not hate her, but her posts felt like salt on a wound. One day, she noticed friendships cooling. A wise elder asked, "When you post, what do you want?" She answered honestly, "I want people to admire my life." The elder said, "Admiration is a hungry meal. It makes you want more, and it makes others compare." So she changed her practice. She posted less. She shared more privately with close friends. She expressed gratitude instead of display. She asked others how they were doing before telling her own stories. Her joy did not shrink. Her joy became gentler, and her relationships healed. The lesson is simple. Happiness is sweeter when it is not used for applause. Now, some people hear this and become afraid to share anything good. They think, I must hide every joy. But joy is also medicine. The Buddha praised sympathetic joy, the ability to rejoice in the happiness of others, so you can share joy in a way that invites joy, not comparison. How? Share with gratitude. Share with humility. Share with kindness. Instead of saying, look how perfect my life is, say, I am grateful for this moment. I know life changes. I wish you peace too. This is a different energy. Now let us speak about merit. In Buddhism, wholesome actions create wholesome results. But the result is not a vending machine. It is not a simple trade. It is training of the mind. So when you do good quietly, your mind becomes cleaner. When you do good to be praised, your mind becomes mixed. So the Buddha encouraged quiet goodness. He encouraged giving without announcement. He encouraged virtue without pride. Because pride can destroy peace even in the middle of success. Now, there is another story. A wealthy man loved giving, but he also loved praise. He announced his donations everywhere. He carved his name on every wall. At first, he felt powerful. Then he became restless. If someone did not thank him, he became angry. If someone else gave more, he felt jealous. His giving did not free him. It trapped him. Then he met a teacher who said, try giving once without telling anyone. The man did it. He felt a new kind of joy, a quiet joy, a joy without hunger. He realized he had been feeding ego, not compassion. The lesson is simple. The same action can have different karma depending on intention. Now let us talk about the social side again. Boasting changes relationships. When you boast, people feel pressure around you. They feel they must compete. They feel they must flatter you. Either way, the relationship becomes less natural. But when you are humble, people relax. They can be themselves. They can trust you. So humility is social medicine. Now a small image. A shallow river makes noise. A deep ocean is silent. In the same way, a shallow ego needs noise. A deep heart does not. This is not to insult anyone. It is to observe a pattern. So if you notice you want to talk about yourself a lot, do not hate yourself. Just see it as shallow water making noise. Then practice deepening. How do you deepen? Through meditation, through patience, through service, through silence, through learning, through humility. Over time, the mind becomes quieter, not because you are suppressing, because you are fuller. Now we must talk about wise discretion. Some people interpret this teaching as paranoia. They think, everyone will envy me, everyone will harm me. This is also suffering. The Buddha's path is not fear, it is clarity. Wise discretion means you do not share everything with everyone, because not everyone has your best interest. Not everyone has a calm heart. But you also do not live in suspicion. You choose wisely, and you live with goodwill. This is balanced. Now let us bring back the lamp image. A lamp inside the home gives warmth. It lights the faces of those you love. But a torch held high in the street invites every insect. It invites every comment. So be a lamp. Be bright for your own path and your own family. You do not need to be a spectacle. Now let us address the fear of being underestimated. Many people boast because they fear being overlooked. They fear that if they are quiet, others will take credit. They fear they will be paid less. They fear they will be treated as small. The Buddha did not teach passivity. He taught wise action. So there is a skillful way to speak about your work without boasting. Speak facts. Speak results. Speak with gratitude. Give credit. Avoid exaggeration. This is honest self-advocacy. It is not arrogance. Now here is a practical method for work communication. When you need to present your skills, speak in 3 parts. First, the facts. This is what I did. Second, the benefit. This is what it created and how it helped. Third, the conditions. This was possible because of support, collaboration, and learning. This style is confident, but not arrogant. It is clear, but not loud. It is respected by wise people. Now, let us speak about wealth. Money is not evil. The Buddha did not condemn wealth itself. He condemned greed, attachment, and unskillful use. So do not reveal wealth means do not make wealth your identity. Do not use it to dominate. Do not use it to humiliate. Use it with wisdom. Support your family. Support the needy. Use it to reduce suffering. Then wealth becomes a tool, not a chain. And you will not need to boast. Because the joy of giving is deeper than the joy of being admired. Now, let us tell a story about display and security. A man bought a precious jewel. He carried it openly to show others. He felt proud. A thief noticed. The jewel was stolen. The man cried, "Why is the world so cruel?" A wise elder said, "The world is not only cruel, it is also conditioned." When you display, you invite desire. When you invite desire, risk increases. So wisdom protects. This story is not to blame the victim. It is to teach discernment. Protect your resources. Protect your privacy. This is part of non-harming. Now, let us go deeper into the inner cause. Why does the mind boast? Because it wants to be safe. It believes admiration equals safety. If people admire me, they will not abandon me. If people admire me, I am protected. This is a child's belief carried into adulthood. So the remedy is to build deeper safety. Safety in integrity. Safety in self-respect. Safety in practice. When you respect your conscience, you do not need crowds. When you are aligned with values, you do not need constant validation. Now, in Buddhism, self-respect has a special meaning. It is the inner guardian that protects morality. It is the feeling that stops you from harming. When you have this guardian, you feel stable. You do not need to boast, because you are already at peace with yourself. Now, let us add another Buddhist teaching that supports this topic: the 3 poisons: greed, hatred, delusion. Boasting often comes from greed for attention or greed for status. It also creates hatred in others through envy, and it is supported by delusion, forgetting impermanence. Forgetting that today's success can change tomorrow. So the antidote is the 3 trainings: virtue, concentration, wisdom. Virtue keeps your actions clean. Concentration steadies your mind so it is not addicted to applause. Wisdom sees impermanence and not self, so ego has less ground. When these three grow, boasting naturally fades. Now let us speak about impermanence. This is a key medicine. When you remember that all conditions change, you stop building identity on temporary things. You stop saying, I am my success. You stop saying, I am my blessings. You say, these are conditions now. I will use them wisely. I will not cling. This is freedom. Now another subtle trap is humble bragging. This is when a person pretends to be humble, but still shows off. They say, I am so embarrassed that everyone wants me. Or, I cannot believe I got this award again. The Buddha would call this a mind still hungry. So the practice is honesty. If you are happy, be happy. If you are proud, notice pride. Then soften. You do not need to hide emotions. You need to not be owned by them. Now, let us offer a method for receiving compliments without feeding ego. When someone praises you, do 3 steps. First, receive. Thank you. Second, remember conditions. I had good support, good training, good teachers. Third, dedicate. May this skill be used to benefit others. This turns praise into service. Now we will add more stories, because stories help the heart. A young musician became famous quickly. He posted every compliment. He argued with critics. He defended his image constantly. His music became tense. He stopped enjoying the instrument. A wise teacher told him, "You are playing for mirrors, not for music." The musician began to practice in private again. He played without recording. He played without posting. He listened to his own heart. Slowly, joy returned. His talent did not disappear. It deepened. The lesson is that attention can distort talent if the mind is not steady. So protect your talent with silence sometimes. Now, another story. A woman had a peaceful home. She did not post much. She did not brag. But her friends felt calm around her. They said, "Why do I feel safe with you?" She said, "Because I do not compete." This is a great teaching. When you stop competing, you become a refuge for others. And being a refuge is a blessing greater than fame. Now, friends, if this talk is helping you build a calmer relationship with success and happiness, you can support Buddha Peaceful Mind with a gentle like or subscribe, not as a demand, but as an offering that helps these teachings reach more people who are tired of comparison. Now, we go deeper into the Buddhist heart. The Buddha taught not self. Not self does not mean you do not exist. It means there is no permanent, solid owner inside the changing stream. So the you that wants to boast is often a mental construction, an image, a story. When you watch the mind, you see it clearly. A thought arises. I want them to know. A feeling arises. I want to be admired. A fear arises. I do not want to be forgotten. These are states. They are not you. When you see them as states, you can choose. You can breathe. You can let them pass. This is how not self becomes practical. Now, the Buddha also taught that the mind is shaped by what it repeats. If you repeat bragging, the mind becomes hungry. If you repeat gratitude, the mind becomes content. If you repeat generosity, the mind becomes open. So choose your repetitions. Now, we will give you a training plan for 7 days. Day 1. Silence practice. Choose 1 hour to speak less. Notice how often you want to talk about yourself. Just notice. Day 2. Gratitude practice. Write down 5 blessings and 1 way you can share a blessing quietly. Day 3. Quiet giving practice. Do 1 good act that no one knows. Day 4. Praise practice. When someone else succeeds, practice sympathetic joy. Say, "I am happy for you." Watch what happens in your mind. Day 5. Right speech practice. Before speaking, ask the 4 questions. Day 6. Contentment practice. Spend 1 day without posting achievements or purchases. Notice your mind. Day 7. Dedication practice. After any wholesome act, silently dedicate it to all beings. This 7-day practice can change your relationship with talent and blessing. Now, let us talk about sympathetic joy more deeply, because it is the opposite of envy. The Buddha taught 4 divine emotions: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. When you practice sympathetic joy, envy decreases. And when envy decreases in you, you also trigger less envy in others, because your presence becomes non-competitive. So if you want a smooth path, practice sympathetic joy. Celebrate others quietly. Be happy when others are happy. This makes your mind wide. Now we must talk about equanimity. Equanimity is balance. It means you are not shaken by praise or blame. So you can be successful without arrogance. You can be criticized without collapse. Equanimity is the foundation of quiet confidence, and it is trained through meditation. So if you want to truly embody this teaching, meditate. Even 10 minutes a day. Watch the breath. Watch thoughts. Watch the need to prove. Then let it pass. Over time, you become a person who does not need to advertise. Now, let us address a delicate point. Sometimes people say, "Do not reveal blessings because it will attract evil eye." In Buddhism, you do not need to believe in superstition to practice discretion. You only need to understand conditions. When you reveal, you change social conditions. When you reveal, you change your own mind. That is enough reason. So we keep this teaching practical. Now, let us talk about keeping blessings through virtue. Virtue is not moral pride. Virtue is protection. When you lie, fear grows. When you cheat, trust breaks. When you speak harshly, relationships break. So virtue protects blessings because it protects relationships and peace. If you have a peaceful family, protect it with right speech. If you have a good job, protect it with honesty. If you have health, protect it with moderation. This is the Buddhist way. Now, another story. A man was talented and successful, but he spoke badly about others. He mocked, he compared, he humiliated. His talent remained, but his relationships broke. He became lonely at the top. He realized too late that talent without kindness is a cold life. So he began to practice right speech. He apologized. He listened. He stopped boasting. His life became warmer. The lesson is that blessings are not only what you have, blessings are who you have. And who you have depends on how you treat people. Now, let us speak about choosing when to shine. A sword does not need to be drawn in every wind. A candle does not need to become a bonfire. So choose the moment. If someone needs help, shine. If someone needs guidance, shine. If you need to protect your family, shine. But do not shine only to be admired. That shine burns you. Now we will explore the paradox. People who are truly strong do not need to look strong. People who are truly rich do not need to look rich. People who are truly blessed do not need to announce it. Not because they fear attention, but because they already feel enough. And feeling enough is the real blessing. Now let us talk about feeling enough. The Buddha taught that wanting is endless. If you let the mind chase, it will chase forever. So the practice is to learn enoughness. Enoughness is not resignation. It is peace. It is saying, I will grow, but I will not be tortured. I will work, but I will not worship. I will succeed, but I will not cling. This is the middle way. Now we will tell a final long story to bring everything together. A young man grew up poor. He promised himself, one day I will be rich and everyone will respect me. He worked hard. He became successful. He bought expensive things. He posted everything. He spoke loudly about his achievements. He enjoyed the admiration. Then one day, he met an old friend who was calm and simple. The old friend lived in a modest home, but his face looked peaceful. The young man asked, how can you be so content with so little? The friend said, I have something you still do not have. The young man laughed. What do you have? The friend said, I have enough. The young man felt insulted. He went home and looked at his possessions. He realized he still felt hungry. He realized he was still afraid of losing status, afraid of being forgotten. So he began to practice, not by giving up everything, but by giving up the addiction. He posted less. He listened more. He practiced generosity quietly. He meditated. Slowly, the fear softened. He still had success, but it no longer owned him. One day, someone criticized him online. He smiled and did not respond. He realized the wind did not control him anymore. This is the fruit. Talent not flaunted, blessings not boasted. A quiet mind. Before we close, we need to stay longer with this teaching because many people misunderstand it in two opposite ways. One group hears, do not reveal your talent, and they become small. They hide. They refuse opportunities. They let others take credit. They shrink their voice and call it humility. But inside, they feel resentment. Resentment is not humility. Resentment is pain. And pain, when ignored, becomes bitterness. Another group hears, do not reveal your talent, and they become fearful. They see envy everywhere. They suspect everyone. They become secretive and tense. This is also not wisdom. Fear is another prison. The Buddha's path is not shrinking and not paranoia. The Buddha's path is clarity. Right intention, right action, right timing. So let us clarify the middle way in a very practical way. When should you speak about your skill? And when should you keep quiet? When should you share your happiness? And when should you keep it private? When should you show your success? And when should you let it be unseen? The answer is not one rule for every moment. The answer is mindfulness and discernment. So let us train discernment. First, there are moments when speaking is necessary. If you are applying for a job, you must describe your skills. If you are leading a project, you must report results. If you are a doctor, you must communicate clearly. If you are a teacher, you must explain what you know. If you are offering a service, people need to understand what you can do. This is not boasting. This is clarity. The Buddha did not teach you to be vague. He taught you to be truthful. So speak truthfully. State your skills as facts, without decoration, without humiliation of others, without the hunger to dominate. This is the first principle. Speak when it is needed for right livelihood and benefit. Second, there are moments when speaking is harmful, when you speak only to feel superior, when you speak to make others feel small, when you speak because you cannot tolerate being ordinary, when you speak because you need constant reassurance, when you speak because you want to control the room with your story. This speech is not beneficial. Even if it is true, it increases suffering. It increases your suffering and others' suffering. So the second principle is simple. Do not speak when speech is only feeding ego. Third, there are moments when silence is medicine. Silence when someone provokes you. Silence when gossip is asking for fuel. Silence when your mind is hot and words will burn. Silence when you are tempted to perform. Silence when your joy is sacred and does not need public eyes. This silence is not fear, it is wisdom. But silence can also be a hiding place, so we must check. If your silence is full of fear, it is a prison. If your silence is full of peace, it is a refuge. So ask, is my silence protecting my heart or shrinking my life? Now, let us explore a common situation. Someone asks you, how are you doing? If you are blessed and doing well, you can answer simply, I am doing well. I am grateful. This is different from a long advertisement. A simple answer is honest. A long display is often ego. So practice simplicity. Now, another situation. Someone praises you. They say, you are so talented. If you deny harshly, you may create confusion. If you inflate, you feed ego. So the middle way is to receive and release. Thank you. I worked hard. I also had good support. Then stop. Do not continue. This is clean. Now, another situation. You have success in front of people who are struggling. Should you hide it? Not necessarily, but share with sensitivity. Share in a way that does not press on their wound. For example, if a friend is grieving, it may not be the moment to talk for 30 minutes about your vacation. If a friend is broke, it may not be the moment to show expensive purchases. This is not because you must be ashamed of your joy. It is because compassion chooses timing. The Buddha taught right timing. So ask, is this the right moment? Compassion is not silence forever. Compassion is wise timing. Now, let us talk about modern life again. In online spaces, people often share without seeing the listener. You do not see who is reading. You do not see the widow reading. You do not see the person with depression reading. You do not see the person who just lost their job reading. So online sharing requires extra mindfulness. The Buddha's teaching of right speech becomes even more important. Before you post, ask, is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it for service or for admiration? If you cannot answer clearly, wait. you can still celebrate privately. Now, let us talk about the feeling that you need to prove. This is one of the deepest wounds in modern society. Many people grew up with conditional love. They were praised when they performed. They were ignored when they were ordinary. So they learned, I must perform to be loved. Then adulthood becomes a stage. Every post is a performance. Every achievement is a demand for applause. This is exhausting. So the Dharma talk becomes a healing talk. You do not need to perform to be worthy. You can be worthy by being honest, by being kind, by being present. The Buddha taught that the heart becomes noble through the training of non-harming and wisdom, not through public approval. So if you struggle with the need to prove, practice this simple reflection. If no one knew what I did, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, your intention is wholesome. If the answer is no, your intention is mixed. This is not shame. This is information. You can purify intention. How? By remembering the purpose, to reduce suffering, to serve, to live with integrity. When purpose is clear, craving for applause weakens. Now, let us speak about envy, because envy is one reason people fear revealing talent and blessing. Envy is painful, both for the one who envies and the one who is envied. The Buddha taught that envy is a form of suffering. It is the mind saying, I cannot bear their happiness. Envy is the opposite of sympathetic joy. So how do we live wisely in a world where envy exists? First, do not hate people for envying. Envy usually comes from pain. People compare because they feel insecure. People resent because they feel unseen. So do not take envy as proof you are wrong, but do not feed envy with unnecessary display. This is wisdom. Second, if someone envies you, do not try to prove your worth to them. That often makes envy worse. Keep your boundaries. Keep your calm. Continue doing what is wholesome. Third, protect your privacy. Not because you fear people, because you respect your own peace. The Buddha taught restraint. Restraint is strength. Now what if you are the one who envies? This is very important, because many people talk about envy in others, but they do not look at envy in themselves. The Buddha's path begins inside. So if you notice envy, do not judge yourself. Just see it. Envy is here. Then ask, what is under envy? Often it is sadness. Sadness that you do not feel enough. Sadness that you feel left behind. Sadness that you fear you will never have what you want. So meet the sadness. Be gentle. Then practice sympathetic joy. You can say, may their happiness continue, and may I also find peace. This practice does not deny your pain. It expands your heart. Over time, envy weakens. And when envy weakens in you, your life becomes lighter. Now, let us connect this to the teaching of not self again. Envy is built on comparison. Comparison is built on a self-image. They are ahead. I am behind. They are better. I am worse. But the Buddha taught that the self is not a solid thing. It is a process. So the race is partly an illusion. Yes, there are real differences in conditions. Some people are born with more. Some people have easier paths. But the inner prison of comparison can be released. When you release it, you stop measuring your worth against others. Then envy has less ground. This is the deepest protection. Now, let us speak about blessings again, but in layers. Blessings have layers. The first layer is material blessings: money, comfort, possessions. The second layer is relational blessings: family harmony, friendship, support, love. The third layer is inner blessings: calm, patience, a mind that sleeps well. The fourth layer is spiritual blessings: ethics, wisdom, compassion, freedom from hatred. Most people boast about the first layer. Some boast about the second. Few recognize the third, and fewer recognize the fourth. But the Buddha would say the third and fourth layers are the most precious, because they cannot be stolen by the market. They cannot be stolen by gossip. They cannot be stolen by time as quickly. They are cultivated. So when we say blessings should not be boasted, we are also saying something deeper. Do not turn blessings into an identity. Do not worship the first layer and forget the deeper layers. Because when the first layer changes, your identity collapses. But if your blessings include inner peace and wisdom, you remain steady. Now, let us tell a story about two people with different blessings. One person had money and fame. They posted constantly. They were praised, but their mind was restless. They feared losing the image. They feared criticism. They could not sleep. The second person lived simply. They had a few good friends. They practiced kindness. They did not chase attention. They slept peacefully. Who is more blessed? In the Buddha's view, the second is closer to true blessing, because their mind is a refuge. Now we must be careful. This is not to shame money or success. Money and success can be used for good. The Buddha praised wise use of resources, but he warned that attachment creates suffering. So the teaching is not anti-success. The teaching is anti-attachment. Now let us speak about why boasting can reduce blessings. Not in a magical way, but in a practical, karmic way. When you boast, you feed ego. When ego grows, you become careless. You become less patient. You become less grateful. You become more entitled. Entitlement creates conflict. Conflict damages relationships. Damaged relationships reduce support. Also, boasting attracts unrealistic expectations. People expect you to always win, always be happy, always be strong. Then if you struggle, they judge. This pressure is a condition you created by display. So the result is not a curse. It is cause and effect. The Buddha's teaching of karma is like this. Actions create tendencies. Tendencies create conditions. Conditions create outcomes. So protect your blessings by protecting your mind. Now, let us deepen the teaching through the three roots of wholesome actions: non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. When you speak about your success, check. Is there greed for admiration? Is there hatred through subtle competition? Is there delusion, forgetting impermanence? If yes, soften. Return to non-greed by gratitude. Return to non-hatred by kindness. Return to non-delusion by remembering impermanence. This is practice. Now, let us talk about the beauty of quietness. Quietness is not emptiness. Quietness is maturity. In youth, people often need to show. They need to announce. They need to be seen. This is understandable. As we mature, we often see the cost of display. We see that too many eyes create too much noise. we see that peace is rare. So we choose quiet, not because we are weak, because we have tasted the sweetness of not proving. This sweetness is freedom. Now, a story. A young man argued with everyone. He wanted to show he was smart. He won debates. He felt powerful. But he was lonely. People avoided him. One day an elder said, "You are winning words and losing hearts." The young man became silent. He began to listen more. He began to speak only when needed. Over time, people began to trust him. He realized the greatest victory was not winning arguments. It was keeping the heart open. This is the same with talent and blessings. Winning admiration can cost you peace. Keeping humility protects peace. Now, let us speak about the phrase, know enough not to talk too much. Many experienced people say this because they have seen human nature. Not everyone can rejoice in your success. Not everyone can carry your happiness without comparing. So discretion is kindness. It is kindness to you and to them. Now, we also must speak about the joy of inspiring others. If you have overcome hardship and you share your story to help others, that can be very wholesome. So how do you share without boasting? Share the struggle, not only the victory. Share the gratitude, not only the result. Share the lesson, not only the trophy. Share in a way that makes others feel possible, not small. This kind of sharing is Dharma. Now, let us offer a simple framework for wholesome sharing. Share from scars, not from ego. Scars mean you have healed and learned. Ego means you need applause. If you share from scars, you are helping. If you share from ego, you are performing. So ask yourself, am I sharing to heal or to be admired? Now, let us explore this with another story. A woman built a successful business. She wanted to motivate others. She went on stage and told her story. At first, she spoke only about winning. I did this, I did that, I am unstoppable. People applauded, but some felt discouraged. They thought, I could never. Later, she learned to speak differently. She spoke about fear. She spoke about mistakes. She spoke about help she received. She spoke about gratitude. People still respected her, but now they also felt hope. The lesson is that humility makes success useful. Now we will speak about the special danger of spiritual boasting. Some people boast about merit. They say, I donated this much. I meditated this long. I am very spiritual. This is dangerous because it hides behind goodness. The Buddha warned against pride in practice because pride is still a chain. So if you practice Dharma, practice quietly. Let your kindness be your proof. Let your patience be your proof. Do not turn spirituality into a costume. Now, there is a story often told in Buddhist circles about someone who wanted to impress with special powers. The Buddha discouraged this kind of display, not because abilities are evil, but because display feeds ego and distraction. The Buddha pointed people back to the real miracle, the miracle of a mind that is free from hatred, the miracle of a heart that forgives, the miracle of a person who does not harm. This is the true miracle. So if you have any gift, whether talent or luck, do not use it to build ego. Use it to reduce suffering. This is the highest use. Now, let us talk about protecting blessings through mindfulness in small daily moments. Many blessings are lost not through dramatic events, but through small, careless habits. A harsh tone destroys harmony. A lie destroys trust. A moment of arrogance destroys support. A careless decision destroys health. So the Buddha taught mindfulness of small things. Be mindful when you speak. Be mindful when you spend. Be mindful when you eat. Be mindful when you rest. This is how blessings remain. Now, we will connect this to the idea of not showing off. If you are quiet, you often become more mindful because you are not performing, you are living. Performance is exhausting. Living is simple. So the teaching is also a teaching about returning to real life. Now, let us talk about what to do when your success triggers others. Sometimes you cannot avoid it. Even if you are humble, some people may still envy. So what do you do? First, do not retaliate. Retaliation feeds conflict. Second, do not over-explain. Over-explaining often feeds drama. Third, keep your boundaries. If someone is toxic, limit access. Fourth, keep compassion. Remember, envy is suffering. Fifth, keep your practice. Do not let others' mind states control your heart. This is equanimity. Now, some people will ask, does this mean I should never celebrate publicly? No, but choose your audience and your purpose. There is a helpful image. 3 circles. The inner circle is intimate. Your family, your close friends, people who truly rejoice for you. The middle circle is neutral. Acquaintances, co-workers, people who do not know your full story. The outer circle is public. Strangers, online crowds. Most wisdom belongs in the inner circle. Some information belongs in the middle circle for work or community. Very little needs the outer circle. If you remember this, your life becomes calmer. Now, let us give another practical technique, the 2-line rule. If you want to share an achievement publicly, keep it to 2 lines. 1 line of fact, 1 line of gratitude. Then stop. No extra details, no comparison, no long story of how superior you are. This protects your mind and protects others. Now let us talk about saving face. Many people boast to protect face. They fear being seen as ordinary. They fear being seen as struggling. But the Buddha taught that ordinariness is not shame. Being human is not shame. Suffering is part of life. So a wise person does not build identity on appearance. They build identity on practice. So they can be ordinary and still be noble. Now, a story. A teacher was respected. One day, the teacher made a mistake. Many people expected him to hide it. Instead, he admitted it calmly. He apologized. He corrected it. People respected him more because humility created trust. The lesson is that true dignity does not need perfection. True dignity is honesty with compassion. Now, we will go even deeper into meditation on humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking less about yourself. So here is a simple meditation you can practice. Sit quietly. Feel your breath. On each out-breath, release one idea of self. Not in a dramatic way. Just soften the grip. You can whisper inwardly, letting go. Then bring to mind the conditions that support your life. Air, water, food, farmers, drivers, builders, teachers, parents, friends. Now feel gratitude, not as a performance, as a simple warmth. Then whisper inwardly, "May I use my life well." This meditation dissolves pride. It also dissolves shame, because you see, you are part of a web, not a lonely competitor. This is liberating. Now we must include another important Buddhist teaching. The Buddha taught that the mind loves to create identity. Identity around talent, identity around blessing, identity around being special, identity around being a victim. All of these are forms of clinging. So the practice is to see identity as a tool, not a prison. Use identity when needed, as a role at work, as a name, as a responsibility, but do not worship it. Do not cling to it, because when it changes, you suffer. So the teaching of talent not flaunted, blessings not boasted, is also a teaching of non-clinging. Hold lightly. Now, let us talk about the beauty of being underestimated. This sounds strange, but it can be a blessing. When people underestimate you, they place less pressure on you. They watch less. They compete less. You can work quietly. You can grow. You can surprise with results when needed. So do not fear being underestimated. Fear only losing integrity. If you keep integrity, time can do its work. Now, another story. A minister served a king. There were loud ministers who spoke constantly, trying to impress. There was one quiet minister who listened and worked. When a crisis came, the loud ministers panicked. The quiet minister had prepared. He solved the problem calmly. The king said, "Why have I not heard of your skills before?" The minister said, "Your Majesty, my work was not to be heard. It was to be done." The king rewarded him. The lesson is that noise is not power. Preparation is power. Quiet service is power. Now we also must talk about generosity again, because generosity is the natural expression of blessing. If you are blessed, you will want to share. But sharing does not need to be a performance. Give quietly. Help quietly. Mentor quietly. Protect quietly. This makes your blessing stable because it becomes merit. Now, let us address a common confusion. Some people say, if I keep things quiet, I am being dishonest. Honesty is truthfulness, not full disclosure. The Buddha did not teach you must reveal everything. He taught you must not deceive. So you can be truthful and still private. You can be honest and still discreet. This is important, because in modern life, people confuse privacy with lying, but privacy is wisdom. Now, let us speak about pride and its hidden suffering. Pride feels good for a moment. It feels like standing on a mountain. But the mountain is made of sand. Because pride depends on being above someone, and there is always someone above and someone below. So pride creates fear. Fear of losing the position. Fear of being exposed. Fear of being surpassed. This fear is constant. So pride is not peace. Humility is peace. Humility does not need to be above. It only needs to be true. Now, let us speak to the listener who feels invisible and wants to boast just to be seen. This is a tender place. You may have worked hard and nobody noticed. You may have given and nobody thanked you. You may have been kind, and people took it for granted. In that pain, the mind wants to shout, "Look at me, please see me." The Buddha would not mock this. He would offer compassion, and he would also offer wisdom. If you need recognition in your work, ask for it clearly, not through boasting. Speak directly to the person who matters. Share your contribution in a calm way. Then, release. Do not seek recognition from the whole world. Seek fairness in the right place. This is wise. And at the same time, build your inner witness. Be the person who sees your own effort. Your conscience can be your witness. When your conscience is strong, the world's silence hurts less. Now, we will add a final practical set of sentences you can use in daily life. When someone asks about your success, you can say, "I am grateful. I had support. I am still learning." When someone praises you, you can say, "Thank you. I appreciate it." When you want to share a blessing, you can say, "I am thankful for this moment. I know life changes. I wish you well too." When you want to decline gossip, you can say, "I prefer not to compare. I hope everyone finds peace." These simple sentences protect you. Now, let us connect this to inner peace again. Why do we want this quiet strength? Because the goal of practice is freedom. Freedom from the need to perform. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from envy. Freedom from the winds, so that you can live and love without fear. This is the Buddha's gift. Now, friends, we are approaching the closing. But before we end, take one moment. Notice your breathing. If there is any tightness in the chest, soften it. Let the shoulders drop. Feel the simplicity of being alive. You do not need to prove this breath. You do not need to announce this breath. It is enough. This is the feeling of contentment. Now carry this feeling into your life. Be talented, yes. Train, yes. Serve, yes. But do not flaunt. Be blessed, yes. Be grateful, yes. Share, yes. But do not boast. Be a lamp, not a torch for strangers, a lamp for your path and for those you love. Now we can return to our closing. One more teaching belongs here, because in our time, people do not only boast with words, they boast with lifestyles. They boast with images. They boast with silence that is meant to look superior. So we need a clean compass. The Buddha's compass is intention. If your intention is clean, your expression becomes clean. If your intention is mixed, your expression becomes mixed. So let us train intention in a simple way. Whenever something good happens, success, praise, comfort, a pleasant event, do this. First, bow inwardly, not to a person, to reality. Bow to the fact that conditions came together. Bow to the fact that you did not create everything alone. Bow to the teachers you may never meet, the farmers, the workers, the ancestors, the friends. This inward bow is humility. Second, remember impermanence. Say inwardly, "This is precious, and it will change." This sentence protects you from arrogance and from panic. It turns success into gratitude instead of entitlement. Third, convert joy into generosity. Even something small. a kind message, a small donation, a helpful act. This prevents joy from becoming self-indulgence. It turns blessing into merit. This three-step ritual is simple and powerful. Now, let us talk about what happens when you are praised and then criticized. Many people can be humble when no one is watching. But the real test comes when attention arrives. The Buddha taught that the winds will come. So practice when the winds come. When praise comes, do not become inflated. When blame comes, do not become bitter. How? Use the same filter. Is it true? If it is true, learn. If it is not true, release. Do not worship praise. Do not worship blame. Both are winds. This is equanimity. Now, a short story. A woman worked hard and received an award. Everyone praised her. She felt proud. Then one person criticized her, saying she did not deserve it. Her mind became obsessed with that one voice. She forgot the 100 kind voices. This is human. The Buddha would call it clinging. Clinging to praise and clinging to blame. So she practiced. She wrote down 3 truths. I worked sincerely. Many people benefited. One opinion is not reality. Then she let the criticism go. The lesson is that quiet strength is the ability to not be owned by opinions. Now we must also speak about the danger of oversharing blessings, because it can turn your life into a constant comparison machine. The mind begins to ask, are we as happy as them? Are we as rich as them? Are we as successful as them? This question has no end. So protect your mind by reducing comparison inputs. Follow fewer accounts that trigger envy. Spend more time in nature. Spend more time with real friends. Spend more time in silence. This is not spiritual escape. It is mental hygiene. Now, another teaching. Blessings grow best in quiet soil. If you plant a seed and then dig it up every day to show people, it will not grow. In the same way, a relationship grows best in privacy. A healing grows best in privacy. A new project grows best in privacy. So do not announce everything too early. Let it mature. Let it root. Then, when it is stable, you can share what is useful. This is wise timing. Now, let us talk about choosing the right moment to shine, because some listeners may worry that this teaching makes them too quiet. The Buddha's path is not silence in the face of harm. The Buddha taught compassion. Compassion can require speech. Compassion can require courage. So there are moments when you must speak, not to show off, but to protect. To speak up when someone is bullied. To tell truth when lies harm people. To defend those who cannot defend themselves. This is not boasting. This is right action. So remember, quiet does not mean passive. Quiet means not self-centered. When speech is needed for compassion, speak. When speech is only for ego, be silent. This is the compass. Now, a story. A skilled worker saw wrongdoing in the workplace. He was afraid to speak because he did not want attention. But silence allowed harm to continue. He remembered the Buddha's teaching on right intention. He spoke calmly and truthfully. He did not brag about his courage. He simply did what was needed. He protected others. The lesson is that humility does not mean silence when truth is necessary. Humility means speaking without ego. Now, one more practice you can use to keep your mind clean. The practice of hidden merit. Once a day, do one small good act that no one will ever know. Hold a door. Pay for someone. Clean something without being asked. Send a kind message, then do not mention it. This practice is powerful because it cuts the root of showing off. It trains the heart to love goodness for its own sake. This is close to the Buddha's heart. Now, let us speak about the most beautiful kind of wealth. A calm nervous system, a gentle voice, a stable character. These are wealth. Many people chase money but lose their mind. They chase status but lose their health. They chase attention but lose their relationships. So if you have a calm heart, protect it. Do not sacrifice it for applause. This is the deepest meaning of keeping blessings. Now, we can make everything very simple. Talent is a tool. Blessing is a condition. Neither is your permanent identity. So use them. Do not worship them. Share them wisely. Do not display them to feed ego. When you do this, your life becomes lighter. Your relationships become warmer. Your mind becomes calmer. And this calm mind is a blessing you can carry into old age, into loss, into change. This is the Buddha's gift. Now we can close with a steadier heart. Let us add one more layer, because some listeners may wonder, will quietness make me invisible? And will invisibility make me powerless? The Buddha would say, power is not volume. Power is steadiness. A storm is loud, but it passes. A mountain is silent, but it remains. So quietness is not the loss of power. Quietness is the return of power to its source. Now consider bamboo. Bamboo grows quietly for a long time. Its roots spread under the soil. People see almost nothing. Then one season, it rises quickly. But the rise is only possible because of the hidden roots. In the same way, a person who trains quietly builds roots. Roots of skill, roots of integrity, roots of character. Then when life demands strength, they can rise, and they do not need to announce it, because the result is visible. This is a beautiful metaphor for talent, not flaunted. Build roots, then serve. Now, another metaphor. Perfume does not shout, it spreads. If your life has goodness, it will be felt. Maybe not by everyone, but by the right people. So do not panic about being unseen. Panic creates performance. Performance creates suffering. Instead, choose quality, choose depth. Let time be your witness. Now let us speak about time as a teacher. Many young people feel urgency. They want recognition now. They want followers now. They want applause now. But time has a different rhythm. The Buddha taught patience for a reason. Patience means you can wait for the right season. You can let things mature. A fruit picked too early is sour. A project revealed too early is fragile. A relationship displayed too early is exposed. So patience protects blessings. Now we will tell a story about too early. A young entrepreneur launched a project and announced it everywhere. He showed every step. He invited everyone's opinions. At first, he felt excitement. Then criticism came. Conflicting advice came. Envy came. His mind became chaotic. He changed direction every day. The project collapsed. Later, he learned Not every seed needs sunlight on day one. Some seeds need darkness to root. So he started a new project quietly. He worked in silence. He tested carefully. He told only a few trusted people. When it was stable, he released it. This time, it survived. The lesson is not to hide forever. The lesson is timing. Now, let us speak about keeping blessings in family life. Many homes suffer not from lack of money, but from lack of humility. A spouse boasts and the other feels diminished. A parent compares children and harmony breaks. A sibling shows off and resentment grows. So if you want to protect blessings in your home, practice humility at home first. Speak gently. Give credit. Apologize quickly. Do not show off inside your own family, because family is where the heart should be safe. Now, a story. Two brothers grew up together. One became successful. He visited home and spoke constantly about his success. He meant to share joy, but he spoke with superiority. The other brother felt small. Resentment grew. Their relationship cooled. Years later, the successful brother faced hardship. He needed support, but the bridge was weak. He realized too late that his words had burned the bridge. So he returned with humility. He apologized. He listened. He shared resources quietly. Slowly, the bridge rebuilt. The lesson is that boasting is not only social noise, it can harm the closest relationships. Now, let us speak about children. When parents boast about children, children feel pressure. They feel they must maintain an image. They fear failure. So if you are a parent, protect your child by protecting privacy. Praise your child to their face with love. Do not turn your child into a trophy for society, because a trophy is an object, not a human. The Buddha taught loving kindness. Loving kindness sees a child as a heart, not as a status symbol. Now, another practice. When you feel the urge to post about happiness, do one thing first. Message one person privately with kindness. Ask how they are. Listen. If your joy grows when you care about others, it is wholesome. If your joy depends on being admired, it is fragile. So use this as a test. Now, let us bring the whole teaching into one guiding sentence. Be excellent quietly. Be generous quietly. Be joyful gently. This is the style of a wise life. Now, we should also speak about the opposite danger. Hiding talent out of fear of responsibility. Some people say, I am humble, but really, they are avoiding risk. The Buddha taught courage, so humility should not become avoidance. If you have talent that can help, use it. If you can lead, lead. If you can teach, teach. If you can heal, heal. If you can create value, create. Just do it without ego. This is the middle way again. Now here is a final reflective practice you can take from this talk. At the end of each day, ask 3 questions. Where did I seek admiration today? Where did I practice quiet goodness today? Where did I protect my peace through wise restraint today? Do not judge yourself. Just learn. Then the next day, choose one small improvement. This is how character is built. Now we can return to our closing with a fuller understanding. Now, dear friends, If you have listened this far, you have already practiced patience, and patience is a great virtue. If this talk supported you, share it with someone who is tired of performing life. And if you want more long Dharma talks like this, you can subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. Your support helps these lamps reach more homes. Now, let us close with a blessing. May your talent be used with humility and courage. May your blessings be protected with gratitude and generosity. May you be successful without arrogance. May you be happy without making others feel small. May you speak little and create much benefit. May you be a lamp in your own home. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free.